Isa here runs Mad Cash, funds women entrepreneurs. All right? Joe actually has taken this opportunity to step away from the business, is still in it, to actually create a new business, and is using the TITAN program to strategically plan and execute. So that's another amazing story that I'm about. And Gavin scales a totally unscalable business. Some of you may know him. All right? He renovates 1,000 homes a year. So I'm going to now hand over to each of them to tell you in a few seconds what they actually do. All right? Oh, you've got the mic.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Isa. I run Mad Cash. So what we do at Mad Cash is we look for the women who are running very small businesses. We help them grow their business so that they can become bankable. So usually they are of the group that no banks want to touch. Our competitor are the loans, but we give our loans at 0%. So we don't charge any interest. And always people ask, how do you make money? We actually run the program, and the program runs for 12 months. And usually we get funders from the banks or also from corporations. So that's how we make money.
Hi everyone, morning. My name is Joe Koo. I'm the co-founder of the company called iStore iSend. I think the name kind of says it all. We've been the pioneer of fulfillment in Southeast Asia. We just basically wanted to copy and paste Amazon fulfillment in Southeast Asia, and that was many years ago. So I've been in this startup journey, you can call that a startup, right, for more than 15 years, right, 15 years now. So second inch of life is technically, one of the things that I wanted to do since the beginning was to really focus on one part of the company, which is a technology-driven business. And I took the opportunity to work with TITAN to really get this going, because what I've learned from my fulfillment business, right, running it for so many years, of course it is quite successful today. It's in 4 countries, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines. It's probably one of the largest ones. But there is so many pitfalls and issues, right, with it that would have been much more easier to solve if we have planned properly, right, and set up some kind of framework or some kind of a thought process before going in. And I think TITAN was one of the opportunities I wanted to take to really put my experience and coupled with the framework to make sure that this second baby, right, really has a smooth journey growing up. So that's kind of the thought process, and that's where we are today. Right, I will share more about how it has benefited, but definitely a very beneficial part of the journey.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gavin from the Makeover Guys. What do? I guess we enable people to enjoy better homes by simplifying a very complex industry, right? Everyone wants better homes, but I'm sure all of you have had experience building a home. The process can be very complex. The number of decisions you have to make, decision fatigue is real. Misinformation is everywhere, and what more now with social media, you watch a couple of reels and everyone have different opinions. And the truth about homes is that there is no everyone has an opinion, and that's all it is, right? Whether it's sequencing or the pros and cons of materiality, or which material is better or which way is better. Everyone has an opinion, and yeah. So Makeover Guys is here to how can we simplify that to make the process of building a home as enjoyable as possible. Yeah. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Thank you. Before we continue, I'd like you guys to turn on your mics. There's a button on the side. Press it until it's green. Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah, it's on now. It's on. I can see it. I can see the light. Okay. But that's not at the beginning. Now, for those of, as Doc has mentioned, the Sunicon Collective is 3 years old. And at the end of last year, we asked our cohort, or members of the collective, what is it they gained from the 3 years and what else they'd like? And they actually said to us, we like something more hardcore. You've done a lot of circles, you've inspired us with a lot of speakers, but we actually want to get our teeth into something more strategic, that's more relevant to us and our teams. So that's the background to how the TITAN program started. It was actually upon their request. But what I'd like to ask each of you was, what is it that made you make that request? What is it that you were faced with in each of the businesses? Now you've heard they're very, very different businesses, okay? So perhaps we start with you again, Liza.
Alright. So when I first started doing business, it was in 10 years ago. Yeah, somewhere like, no, 20 years ago. I started doing business, right? And we're doing software development. So we're doing software development, and you know, I ran the company and for jobs, blah, blah, blah. So it's always been there. So when we started Mad Cash, it was in 2022. The first time I received VC money. So all of a sudden, I have a boss who keeps asking me, how much money are you making? How can you grow? So it's all this stress of dealing with people. So I didn't know that when you took people's money, they expect things from you, because you know, I've been running happily doing things, you know. And then I started joining all these groups, the Unicorn especially, because I just wanted to meet other people who had the same problems, who had the same shareholders, who could help me, you know, manage my shareholders better. And I think it's more the practicality. So usually when the Unicorn started, it was 3 years ago, right? The company started 4 years ago, so we're just 1 year older than Silicon. And when we entered Silicon, I found that there's a good group of people. Very few women, mainly men, but a good group of people who are willing to help if you ask them. Right? So then when we joined the Titan, it allowed us to have more structure. So you know, there's ups and downs, and since 2026 has been really tough. But instead of just, oh my God, these are all my problems, what I did now is I'm thinking 10 years ahead, what should I do? So as we solve our daily problems, we look to the future and we have a plan where to grow. So this helps because we're fundraising again, and with the fundraising, always the lesson was, you know, what happened the last round? What did you use the money for? What will you do differently? So the Titan program happened, I think, at just the right time for us to be able to look at how we can grow our business and really structure it for expansion and you know, to be that $100 million business.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, so maybe go back in time, right? I think the context. Joining Sunicon, I think with every, I want to be very honest and open, right? I think no lack of business networking session and all that in the market, right? So I think my initial thought was it's going to be the same. You go in, you pop that way, you make some network connection, you know, you try to make things work, blah, blah, blah. And that was the initial thought that it's going to be the same. But I think what I pleasantly found out is really, I think Doc said one thing, right? And also I think one of the comment here was the group dynamic is very important, right? When you join a group of people who are sharing the same struggles and same issues, you feel less lonely, right? So I think a lot of people maybe will feel the same thing. You're the leader of the company, you have to look tough, you must have all the answers all the time. Your employee come and look for you, you gonna have some kind of jawaban lah, right, or some kind of jalan. But actually you don't have, you also have to pretend to have. But then in this group, we are peers. We also don't have jalan. We honestly told each other we have no jalan, we have no idea, right? But then it's a group thing, right? It's a group dynamic. So then we don't have to put on our tough look, right? And can be ourselves and be vulnerable around each other, and then share, you know, really the issues that are going on. And I think that is super beneficial for your mental state, right? And then of course, that is still very much on the soft side, on your personal like well-being as an entrepreneur, to keep you not die in your brain, right? Which is great. But then I think we wanted more substance to it, right? So great, now that we are healing and growing personally, what now? You know, how do we put things into, it's all fine and dandy, we, you know, hoorah every day, pat ourselves in the back and all that, but then what is the next step, right? And that's what we wanted. We wanted something more actionable. And we wanted to go on this journey with friends of that is like-minded, right? So Gavin is my group. We have so much fun in all our sessions. It's a tough session, but it's so much fun, right? Because I think there's a saying, what, iron sharpens iron, right? So really, you get challenged with each other's idea. Like you think this is great, you get, you know, criticized here and there, and then it's all really, you know that they are for you. These are people who are going to be for you. They are giving you constructive criticism to help you better train and do the things that you need to do. And I think that really is the biggest benefit out of the program. First, you have a framework. You cannot just have nothing to do, and then what are you debating on? There's nothing to debate, right? Like I would just go there and debate about politics, no point, right? So you have to have something to kind of frame it. And then on top of the frame really is the group dynamics, right? So I think most importantly, I want to share, if anyone who's joining the program, number one is honesty, right? Be really open and honest with what you are facing, then you can get the most out of it. If everyone don't want to talk, don't want to share, or share a bit, don't share a bit, then there's no, and it's very obvious if you're sharing a bit, right? So it always takes someone in the group to be the first mover, but once you move, everyone will move together. I think that's the best part, and I really want to share that. And that is why the TITAN program started, and then to really get a bunch of people who are like-minded, who wants to grow. We have this intellectual debate about how to get things done. And of course, the first part is intellectual. Strategy, everything strategy, super good, everything checks out on the mind. But then when it goes to execution is where the tough part is, and you got people who are keeping you accountable and disciplined. I like the saying, everyone has a boss, but then most of the time the CEO and the founders have no boss. Yeah, we are our own boss, so we are the most ill-disciplined people. Right? Because everyone got disciplined, blah blah blah. You want to make sure all your employees are disciplined, but you really, not so much. So now we submit ourselves to the discipline of the group. So then we, a bit sadist. We find our own boss and torture us and make sure that we're disciplined. So I think that's also a benefit, right? In Cantonese, there's no king on top of you. So now you got each other. So I think that's the sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. You took that a little bit beyond. Now, remember, Joe stepped out of his business in order to set up the second one, and he used the TITAN program to do that.
Yeah.
Now, Gavin, what were the challenges you were facing that the TITAN program helped you address?
Okay, I think as founders, right, all of us, I believe all of us are curious, right? I mean, we are the fact that you're here is because you want to pursue learning, you want to continue learning more, right? And I think as founders, there is no lack of frameworks or motivation or inspiration or ideas. There's no shortage of that. And I felt that, but every time I hear a great idea, right, to bridge the gap from, wow, actually this is something I can apply in my business, right? And then I try and apply in my business. But there's this gap here. That am I doing it right? Is my context of understanding the framework even correct? Then I base my whole strategy based on sometimes my interpretation of that framework, right? And I think as founders we have this gap. There's no one to review that micro strategy that we have set, right? And this micro things is very important because I believe great implementation is always very micro, right? Great execution is very micro. Say for example, I have a big idea, strategy, even a sales campaign. And sometimes it's about tweaking the T&C, right? Sometimes it's about tweaking the sequencing. It's the micro stuff that makes a difference. It could be a great idea, but execution could suck and you could fail because of sequencing. Just as simple as something as sequencing. And who is there to review sequencing? You present to your team, the team probably have never heard that framework, so you introduce a new framework to them, and they realize, wow, my boss so smart, right? But in TITAN it's different. I present a framework and then they say, hey, it's stupid. And so many times, I mean, Joe has called out my ideas that suck so many times. And that's something that I really appreciate, because it's not something that I can find anywhere else. And exactly like what Joe said, right? I think to get the most out of this program, being willing to share. If every month you come and only share the good stuff, that's not beneficial to us. At least that's how I look at it, right? And again, running a business sometimes it's about sharing, the bad stuff, and then knowing that, hey, I went through that same shit 3 years ago. Sorry, pardon my language, yeah. But 3 years ago, right? In fact, this morning I was just When I met Joe, I just told Joe, hey, I think I need to do something. Then he said, hey, I did it before.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Okay, then I was like, we need yamcha. And this, I think, this resource of having Joe as a friend, it happened because of Titan, because he's in my group, right? And now I can actually reach out to Joe and say that, hey, he's been there, done that.
No, the relationship is mutual. I learned so much from Gavin.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about that. You're talking about the experience you've had during Titan, right?
Yeah.
At what point when you were in Titan, did you realize, okay, this is going to change how we run our business? Was there such a moment?
Oh, yes.
Any one of you to answer?
I think the very first question, right? So when we begin, okay, so Titan starts with BHAG, Big Hairy Audacious Goal. And then, I mean, it's something that we know is important, but let's face it, right? All of us take it for granted, right? All of us, I deep down inside. And then throughout the years, Mingo guys have existed for 11 years. And truth be told, when I first started, when I was naive, I had a BHAG that I strongly believe in. And throughout the years, you get bruised and battled and beaten in battle. And then the goalpost starts to shift, right? Because suddenly you think, I'm going to get a lot of pushback from my team. No lah, I've tried this already, the market is not. And then the BHAG starts shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. I don't know about you, but by year 6 or year 7, I was actually muddling through rather than fighting for what I believed in when I started the business. Because of all, you can call it, maybe I've been a bit jaded, being beaten in battle, half-ass attempt and I take it as the truth, and Titan actually forced me to revisit my BHAG. And my original BHAG was 10,000 renovations a year. I hit 1,000 and I realized the skill set required and the infrastructure, the org chart, the tools, the processes, the mindset required from 1,000 and 10,000 is totally different. And I started shrinking the target. So maybe $10,000, maybe 5,000, maybe 3,000, right? Maybe 2,000. Maybe do higher value rather than 2,000. It happens. And I started shrinking that. I think Titan forced me to face that again. And having access to the of course the Xiong is my coach, by the way, having access to that and of course the team, and then you have an opportunity to brainstorm how is it even possible to do 10,000 renovations a year. By the way, 10,000 renovations a year is 30 handovers a day. Right? 30, yeah?
Yes.
Right? 30, yeah. 30 handovers a day. 30 houses daily handover, which when I started, I was naive, I thought I could do it, but truth be scares the shit out of me right now. That number really scares the shit out of me.
So when I first met Gavin, I first met his advertisement. They pop up on my Facebook because I'm the target market, I guess. They pop up, and then when I met him, like, oh, your name is Gavin? From where? Makeover guys. I'm like, the same day, then if you see the showroom, it is truly amazing. All the things I cannot afford, I would like to have in my house. So really, really amazing. You have to make mistakes. But before I joined Silicon and all this, I've joined a lot of accelerators, I've joined a lot of accelerators. So some are in Malaysia, some are outside. So usually when you join accelerators, you meet only for the classes, especially if you're doing it overseas, you hardly meet them. In a year, you have one trip that's sponsored, you go and meet everybody. Right, so it's a touch and go thing. Right, so usually I enter those accelerators to win the prize. So I won a few, so I come in just to win. And that's the purpose of it. Right, but here, it is really to grow your business. Okay, because it's not like an accelerator. You will not be winning a prize, but you'll be winning something even bigger. You'll be creating a real company and hopefully do so. And I think the biggest difference is that in this program, I get to take my team. If you look at my to-do list a year ago, everything is ISO, do this, ISO, do this, ISO, do that. And because you can bring your team, you are able to actually, they tell me that I can only take one job. The rest I have to give to people. So as a founder, it also takes a lot of effort to give. Because you're like, but it used to be me, right? Do I give control to someone and all this stuff? So I brought a co-founder in from Singapore, because we set up in Singapore in 2024. So we have a team. So in the beginning, before Silicon, I hear every now and then we have like a heart-to-heart, which I hate to do. Heart-to-heart, and he tells me like, you're not letting me in. You're not giving me things to do. I'm like, oh God, I hate this conversation. And then when we go into Titan, it's actually part of the structure. Part of the structure is to build your team so that now my goal is I want to go shopping and watch a movie and let somebody run the business. That is my goal in life. And maybe get one of those cool gadgets that Gavin has. You know?
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you actually, in your leadership team, managed to get alignment, which you didn't have before, because I think that's super important.
Okay, maybe I will share, right? So I joined the group with my CTO, Norman, right? He's part of the team. But at the first maybe 2 months or 3 months, I didn't really got him in, because at the time I was still testing out. Tengok, ni boleh jalan tak? This Titan, is it full of fluff or real? Right? And after that, I realized that it's for real, and then I brought him in, right? And really helped me. And it really helped in the sense that he challenged me, right? So sometimes, sometimes you eat your own bullshit, right? So you're like, oh, you convince yourself it's the truth, right? And that's why Gavin, you were saying, like, a lot of times it plays out in your mind. And then I remember very clearly, I thought I had this number in my mind that's going to be workable. Then Norman told me, dude, no, you had 0. I was like, oh shit, man, really? Then I was like, okay, then we kind of look back at because there's this concept, and one benefit, we're speaking the same language in terms of the Titan program. So one concept is called sandbox, right? Sandbox means you define where, like, what you want to play. This is your sandbox, you're definitely going to win. This is where your X factors, this kind of, you come in this sandbox, you're king already, right? So a lot of time in Southeast Asia or in Malaysia, entrepreneurs are opportunistic in nature. Ayo, got job come, got money, jalan, bro. Right? It's super outside the sandbox. Maybe you're good at X, right? Then this is X plus Y. Sometimes X plus Y plus Z plus whatever lah. But the money is good, dude. Opportunity doesn't come to your lap, and then you take it. And then at the end, you 10 years fall back, you're doing don't know how many A to Z already. Your services span A to Z already, and so diluted, you're not winning anything. Right? You're just kind of okay in everything, right? And then there's no strategy. The company just slowly, just like this, right? So it's a lot of that in life, and I think it's very obvious in a market that's small, like Malaysia, right? When you are a small market, you really have to grab every opportunity. I completely understand, guys. No one's going to get paid by dreams alone, right? Sometimes project money is good, but it is paramount if you're thinking about scaling, right? That you keep to the sandbox as much as possible. Then the question is, what is the sandbox? How do you control yourself to be in the sandbox? A lot of times I feel myself, I have an urge to not. I mean, generally, like entrepreneur, fire starters. My friend Mr. Koo there at the end is also a big fire starter. We have all the ideas in this world we're going to do, and then now after this, we create a problem in the team, then we solve it, right? We say, oh, boss want to do this, the next bomb. Then another division come out already. So the very lack of discipline in that sense, right? Innovative in the good sense. But you really have to have that discipline, and Norman came in as a partner to really remind me, dude, your sandbox is here, man. Right? So then that was really an important and really helped me shape the thought process. And the reason why a lot of times you can't grow faster than what you are now is because you are so far from the sandbox, you can't see the sandbox. That's why you're doing so many things. Right? You're doing so many things, you can't scale faster because you're a master of none really. Right? So that's why I think it's super disciplined. For me, the sandbox moment was a critical moment for me.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So again, this is working. Yeah, most of us actually fight fires, and that's all we do in our companies. Yeah, and I ran a business for 40 years.
No, we spark also. It's not just fight.
It's not fire.
We start fires.
Some of them start fires, and then you end up having fun. No matter what, whether you started or not, you're firefighting all the time, and that's why it's. And you as a founder, you had a dream when you started about doing something. But you lose track, as Gavin said, you lose track and you end up just focusing on operations. And so it's important to take a day out. And that's why the Titan program is designed that way. So it's not just operational, it is developmental. Now I'd like to hear from you, therefore, in that context, how has that helped you, or has that helped you change your leadership style?
Yeah, because we never had a real hierarchy, but then we had to actually define what people do, right? So it used to be like, do whatever, you know? Like, so, because I will take care of everything. You just do your job, I take care of everything. So now, in the TITAN program, you have to have accountability where one person takes care of one thing. So I thought that was really important. And then we started doing the daily huddle. You know, like, so we get together every day, and then we talk about, not everyone, just a core group, talk about what we're going to do today, which I really love because I'm also one of those people who like to know what everybody's doing. So then all of a sudden I get permission, you can do it, it's part of the TITAN strategy. It's like, yes, this, you know, serves my needs. So then every day we have like a 5-minute session to talk about what we're going to do today. So I thought that really helps, and I think it also allows people to be able to time and maybe see what they're doing on a daily basis. So I love that about the whole thing, and it helps me to be able to let go a little bit because I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to read it, okay, that person's doing it, okay. You know, that it helps me let go and do so. So what I want to do is go watch Spider-Man. One of these days, not tell my people, just leave. That's my goal. Okay.
And get the real cheap movie ticket, because if you watch it during weekend, it's way super expensive. Yeah. Go in life. So I just wanted to share, right, way of the developmental, right? So I think definitely helped a lot. I think one of the key takeaways for me was my initial business was quite human capital intensive for a lot of people, warehouses, guys. So like, you can imagine there's a lot of income, right? So that was, and when I was growing the fulfillment part of the business, we really didn't talk about, you know, how to scale this. The idea was just, okay, business is coming, we just keep open, scale, hire more and more people, then there's not really much thought process around it. It's just, you know, okay, growing, fantastic, 20-30%, new contract, okay, jalan, open another one. But then, once you run a business like that, dude, there's going to be so much problem, significant problem after that I can share with you. So I spent like, you know, the next 2-3 years, you know, after the growth, because we got venture capital funding in 2021, which is during COVID, right? And also one more thing in South Malaysia, right? Because we're at the infancy stage of the venture capital journey, a lot of people know how to raise fund now. Money is banyak, previously, now it's shit. But nobody teach you how to spend money. Spending money is actually even more important than raising money, how to spend well. And a lot of people have the mortal sin, and that's where the framework comes in. You don't even know where to spend the money. What's more important, right? Like, what is the thing that you really need to spend the money on, right? So, but then if you want to know, identify what to spend money on, then you need to identify what are the critical numbers and critical things that you need to be done. And then how does that relate to your X factor and your B hack, right? Is this all cohesive or not? Or you're just spending money left, right, center just to cover all bases? Cover all bases strategy of spending is the lousiest spending method. Just make yourself feel good. Right? Then, oh God, this is an issue. Okay, then we hire someone professional to handle it. No point, this doesn't really move the needle. When you have really little resources, and if you are taking venture capital money, basically you are expected to grow significantly fast, like 10x. Right? So then, whatever money you get, I don't care if it's 5 million or 100 million, basically it's not enough, because the bigger the check they want, the more bigger exit they want. If you're taking 100 million, dude, they're expecting $1 billion in return, which means your company needs to be multi-billion. If you're taking 5, it's going to be like a few hundred million exit. So whatever money you get, you need to spend it super wisely and super focused. And if you don't know what to spend, don't even take venture capital money, right? It's going to be very tough for you. Right, so I think that is the thing that not a lot of people know. Not a lot of people know until it's too late. Case in point. But anyway, so a lot of journey, a lot of pitfalls, but you know, I'm happy to share all of them. And that is the framework, right? Spending money is very important, but knowing what to spend comes from the framework.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, my take is quite similar to Joe, right? And if I could sum it up, what changed in the leadership style, I guess it's clarity. And if you've been growing your business long enough, I often find myself falling into the trap of reacting to problems, right? Okay, we have a growth problem. Okay, let's solve the growth problem. Then after that, we have an operational bottleneck. Let's solve the operational bottleneck. Oh, we have a supply chain problem. Let's go all out and fix the supply chain. Let's digitalize all our SKUs so that we have better monitoring. And then after that, you have sales problem again. Okay, now it's back to campaign mode. Let's do a sales thing. I found myself in this cycle for a few years. And why the BHAG? I think the Titan, if you ask me, the leadership style, is that why identifying that BHAG in the first place is important is because I think context and direction is king. And because my goalpost, because I wasn't determined on the goal, I ended up reacting to problems individually. And it's not to say that those are bad ideas. I think individually those are great ideas. But I think what Titan forced me, I think, is, do those ideas actually bring you closer to your BHAG, or is it a distraction? So I think that was the ultimate question. And bringing it to the group, I always get challenged, right? Am I contributing to the BHAG, or am I just doing something, again, it's just a band-aid, or it's just reacting to problems, supply chain problem, then you fix supply chain, yeah, so that changed. I think having clarity on direction is super important.
Talking about clarity, I think one of the key lessons is, you know how to achieve clarity? Not through complexity. Mean less is more, right? How do you, let's say, if you want to do something new, which is insane, you have to cut two things that you're doing now. So let's say like you want to do whatever, right? You want to do X. You have to then decide to cut two things that the company is doing. What two things are you supposed to cut? So you do this exercise more and more enough, there's nothing, you'll be very super focused already. And then when you're focused and the last thing, there's clarity. It's very hard for you to have clarity when you have complexity, too many things. Right, and I think me and Gavin had that problem, like, wow, so many things, right? And I relate to Gavin. His word is an insane word. It's the renovation word, it's insane. Like anyone who has a renovation should know knows most of the time over budget and over time, but never on time, never on budget. And he's trying to revolutionize it. He has a big task on top of him. But that's why it's so hard to get clarity. So many moving parts, right? So then once you kind of, and I really benefit from this exercise. Reduce, minus, not plus, minus. I think that's the hardest, right? Plus is easy, we're all entrepreneurs, super easy to plus everything, then simple. Minus is the real wisdom.
Thank you. Now, I'd like very much for the floor to be able to ask questions, but before we do that, if you were to make a recommendation to the people here, what is the one thing, right, that you would tell them about why they should be joining the TITAN program?
I think you spent the last 2 hours talking about why. But if I were to say something, is that I do hope that when you join the Titan, to make the best out of it, we really need to talk about the hard stuff and also the bad stuff. I think that's the only way to get value out of it. But in order to do that, what I like about the Titan is that, when they plan our groups within the cohort, right? We only have like 4 or 5 companies within the group. Number one is consent. All of us must have consent because that group needs to be a safe space. Because it needs to be a safe space. Because if it's not a safe space, if there is a competitive element to it, or if even if the companies are at different stages, right? One is a 10-year-old company, or one is a 7-figure revenue company, and then you get paired with a 9-figure revenue company. Obviously, you're going to have different problems, and obviously, I wouldn't understand what the 9-figure company is telling me. Oh, so complex, man. So difficult, man. right? So I think that's important. So what Titan did was, they grouped, as the similar stage, similar challenges, but different industries, and that gave me a perspective on how some of his workflow in warehousing, it actually kind of applies to renovation, right? It may not be directly, but the best practices that he has, maybe the handbook or how he onboards people and all that, is relevant to me. How he turns. Yesterday you just showed me his new LMD, how he digitalized his whole learning activity.
The game? Yeah, I saw that.
You saw, right? Yeah. So then I was like, hey, shit, there's something I can do, man, teach me. Right?
Yeah. He's doing a game to teach his Bangladesh workers how to move things around in the warehouse. So it's like a game, you play, you move it, oh, cool. So this one yeah. So like in my group I have Mo, So Mo, when he sells his company, he's going to come back and be my CMO. So he's always thinking of things in different ways.
Hey, I thought you're supposed to be mine.
Yeah, he published himself in a few words. Yeah. So then I think the biggest take that I got from my group is they are always looking at things from a different lens than me, right? Because I've been doing it for the last 4 or 5 years, and then we always do the same thing, right? Then when the group listens to what I'm pitching, then they're like, why did you do this? Why did you do this? And then they see different values than what I see, myself, because they're looking at it from outside. So I think that is very important to have people that you trust on your team who can tell you and share things and even suggest ways that you can do better without worrying that I'm going to grow bigger than them. They share willingly and they share with a good argumentation.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to clarify, the game is not a hobby. It is actually a point, right? So last month's lesson was critical numbers, right? My critical number was how do I get this implementation done in X days, right? That was my promise to my customer. How do I get them trained and onboarded fast, right? And then one of my biggest lessons running a fulfillment company was human resource generally, it's huge, right? In the warehouse, it's a lot of non-local, right? So they speak a lot of different languages, and I feel that there's a lot of gap between the knowledge transfer, right? The local guy telling the Bangladeshi guy, and I don't even know if he understands what he's talking about, right? So it's a lot of on-the-job training. God, like Malaysia's default training is on-the-job training. There's nothing else really. So then that's when we had this discussion, and we're challenging each other. And also, it's great to be in the group because you challenge each other. And then there's a bit of kiasuness in everyone. If you're not kiasu, it's very hard to be entrepreneur and trying to outdone each other in terms of AI applications. So yeah, so we have this friendly kind of, hey, you see I do this with AI, oh, I see this, I do this with AI. We really challenge each other and sharpen each other. And my latest challenge to, I guess, the group was like, hey, look, I've kind of digitalized and the SOP of the warehouse into a game. And then it's available in 7 languages. So then it's easier to onboard and I can keep my promise. And if I can keep my promise, my brand promise, then it hits the X factor. The X factor then leads to my B hack, then I can scale much better. It's all related. It's all related. All the months learning, every single thing that you're supposed to do is related, and that's where the strategy flows, right? It flows means that everything you do has a purpose and you can explain it from bottom up, right? I'm doing this because blah, 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 right? Previously it's all opportunistic, like just for money. I really want to do this because of cash flow, touch flow, what me. So that is not really strategy, that is opportunity, right? So, yeah, so talking about that, I think I highly recommend people, you build a lot of friendship. And I go back, like, if you're feeling lonely, if you're always debating ideas in your mind, if you don't want to be schizophrenia, please join a group, right? So you can talk to each other, right? I think exposure to other industries is key, right? I learned so much, right? In my group is the cool fire starter. I'm also cool, he's also cool, so we've got 2 cool fire starter, right? Our founder from TITAN100 cool at the behind. So we are always, and I have a relationship with him, which is a debating relationship. Every time he go up, I will debate with him, and then he will debate with me. But then it's all for good, right? And then now we'll come out with, okay, I think this is the jalan already, which is great, right? I think that's where we learn a lot from each other, and I think this is the key. And a group is not a group that is destined, like, oh, if you're not in a group, then it's not so fun, then, oh, so maybe it's the organizer never put me in a good group. No such thing. It's you have to make the group yours. Right, so it is yourself participating. The more you participate, the more you share, the energy is contagious. Right.
So they are the crazy group. Me and Mo, look at how calm we are.
No, bro, more is I now calm.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, I'm sure you guys have, what we've covered a lot of ground here. And these people have only been in the program for 6 months. All right, and already it's made a significant difference to the way they think about their business, to their strategy, and to the way they now execute. Now, the rest of the year is actually going to be spent on really digging down into how do we now execute the strategy that we've actually spent the last 6 months refining. And by the way, every time they come back, there's a possibility that the strat has changed. Because as they get more and more clarity about what they really want to do, what their BHAG is, they are prepared to change it. So this is something, perhaps to me, the most valuable thing about this is that it's a time you take out to really focus on your business as opposed to just being in the business and being completely swamped by day-to-day operations. Questions from the floor? You have none? You're all going to sign up?
Yeah, we are very open people this aspect.
Maybe, perhaps, what sort of mindset should you bring if you're interested in this program to the TITAN program? Is that a question that you guys, any of you have? Clearly, it's about open-mindedness. Yeah, it's about the willingness to come and be open to hearing other perspectives, because they're invaluable.
Maybe I can share. I think the vibe I'm getting, right, and reminds me of the first time I signed up for TITAN program. Number one, was sure or not, 3,000 plus and 1 day every month. Oh my God, do I even have the time and money to put this? How am I going to explain it? Like, sure or not, I can do a lot with this money. I can spend, I can hire another guy, what's the benefit? And 1 day, can I commit or not? Really, it's so busy already. Like, what if it falls on a day that I'm not, I just wasted it, and oh my God. So many questions are all super legit, because those are the same questions I have on the first time. And that's why, first 3 months I was kind of, 50-50 on this thing. And I can only share to you that, dude, you got to come in and feel it for yourself, right? So my initial thought process was the same. Wow. And because I have maxed out my HRDC already, so it's not claimable, okay? Dude, so then it's coming out expense, right? And then is this a wise expense, right? Question mark. Do I even have the time? I'm going to get anything back? We are living proof, I guess, of that, right? And I can share that, yes, definitely it's worth it. Definitely it has helped me a lot. I think there's no other way to explain to you, right? How it is, how to reduce that fear of spending money for no good reasons, right? Except for maybe, I don't know if there's a trial class club or something, or you can join something. But basically, I can tell you, my thought process was like, I was giving it 1-2 months, join, pay 1-2 times, then after that, if not good, I'm gonna chow. Right? Standard, I'm leisure, okay, sorry. Honest. The fact I'm still here, this is good. So yeah, so it's definitely worth it. For me, definitely, I think I speak for myself. Right, and I think my group, I think was very fortunate to have and I think the whole group was fantastic. Even Mo was not in the group, in our TITAN group, but we built friendship.
And actually on that note, I think, sorry, this is the first briefing, and by the way, I am not scripted whatsoever. I just came here today because I really wanted to tell you about our experience. So everything here is talking about TITAN, but actually if you join TITAN, you also become member of the Suricor Collective because you get access to all the events. So it's not just about the guided learning and the scaling up program. There is also all the peer-to-peer learning that happens at the Suricor, and that's also where you build all the relationships with the people that are going to be with you in the TITAN, so that you can have the trust. Because you're gonna meet like once a month, month 1, month 2, month 3. They are still strangers for you, right? But they're not strangers if you've been having Sunicore collective sessions and having casual conversations and having lunch together and seeing external speakers and together, learning new stuff. So it's really, in my mind, they cannot be removed from each other. You need to have that experience together to really get the maximum benefit of it. The reason why we have such a great relationship and a great performance in the TITAN sessions is because we are already friends in the Sunicore collective circles. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
For sure, bro. For sure. Nothing but love.
By the way, I was the one who referred Joe to the Sunicore collective last year.
Yes. Go.
I'm so happy. By the way, I'm sorry, one more thing. I know I'm taking up more time. When I joined the TITAN100 Accelerator program in 2019, our company was literally like 3 months old, and the prize of the top 10 in the TITAN100 Accelerator was basically like a site visit to a gigantic pre-established startup that has already made it to success story. And that site visit at that time in 2019 was iStore iSex. So I actually grew up as an entrepreneur looking up to this guy as one of the heroes of entrepreneurship success. And then suddenly, a few years later, we're actually, sitting, nitpicking together, with speakers and stuff. And, it's just an unbelievable experience. So
nothing but love, brother. Nothing but love.
Hey, by the way, we're not getting anything from you all. I'm here already.
So completely no script,
Completely no script. And the whole reason why I want to encourage you all to join, so that we have more perspective.
okay, someone's raising hand.
Yes.
Okay, so may I ask a question? Just interest. I guess you have shared. Thank you so much for sharing about support and the impact in terms of the clarity of the strategy and crystallizing. So the question I had was, as you mentioned about critical numbers and scaling. So I'm just curious in terms of the participants, if you can comment a little bit on the critical numbers, because scaling at the end of the day is all about achieving our critical numbers as quickly as possible. So if you share a little bit about the impact of each program, or whatever numbers could be, revenue, profits, leads, or whatever.
So just a few months ago, I met VC. Then she asked me, explain your unit economics. So I was like, what is a unit economics? So like blah blah blah. And then I knew after a few minutes I've lost her because she knows that I didn't know what I'm talking about. Right? So in the program, it so happened that we have a section that's called profit per X, and then it looks at how we calculate our unit economics. So that was, if I had done the session earlier, I could have answered that question, right? That she had. So now I have a clear view, but we are still arguing about things, right? Say, for example, what is the critical number? Is it, because we do women, is it number of women? Is it getting enough funds to give out to women? Is it getting enough money to run the program? So then we've decided that maybe what we need would be number of loans, because number of loans allow us to reach our 1 million target. So things like that. So of course, my plot really helped to project, how to I reach 1 million, but it's still something that I need to take in and see, okay, is this something that you want to do? Is it achievable? So that's how I came up with the numbers, and it took us like a month. And we still have homework due that we haven't submitted because we're still working on that. Is this really the number that we want to commit to?
Yeah, disclaimer guys, there's a lot of homework. So homework means that you have to, because it's peer, right? Technically you don't want to let each other down, right? So you have to give your homework. And last month's homework was critical numbers, right? So the critical number was, for me, was 7 days implementation, which is like industry standard probably at 6 months. I want to get it done in a week. Easy, man, to just put it on strategy. You sure win lah. You said so much, like how many times better, right? But how do you get there? And then we broke it down, right? So one of the things was training and onboarding. It used to take maybe 1-2 days. Now it's like 15-20 minutes playing the game, right? And then we kind of identify where are the smaller parts that contribute to the whole onboarding, data migration, and all that. And thanks to AI, all these are possible to make it more structured, and then we have this automation. Then we really try to reduce it and then put it into action into one of the first few customers that we have today, right? Because we're onboarding new customers now, so then we now measure, okay, like, hey, when do we start the clock? Once they sign the damn thing, they pay us, we start the clock, 7 days. Challenge ourselves internally, 7 days, jalan, tak jalan, then we fluctuate it. Sorry, my language. right? So this is my understanding with it, because it's our critical number, right? And the other thing is obviously leads, right? How many leads? Because this year we have a target to meet, and next year we have a target to meet. You know, I won't share it, but basically there's an X number, right? So then how much lead you need to have to even convert to that X, right? So that was challenged because all my lead was not in the sandbox, right? All my leads I had was like maybe whatever number it is. I thought it was a lot. I was like, okay, I've got enough leads for this year already. But if you really look at it, in the sandbox lead, mean the leads that are qualified as the sandbox, 0, bro. So happy to share that like this coming one, I will be able to contribute at least on the outside 500 leads, right? I think the one that's really sandbox probably 2030, which is sufficient for my this year's target already because it was challenged. But anyway, these are all actual numbers. So it was 1 month time. Last month, Norman shared, I have 0 leads. I'm like fucking kiasu. Was like, dude, okay, fine. Go and find 500 leads for you. Then that's how we got it. So then, again, those numbers are critical because of the reasons what I shared. You know, I can't explain the whole strategy in 5 minutes, but you know, basically that's it.
And also one thing about the path to clarity is not to say that, oh, it's August, then I go and meeting, then I leave the meeting with, oh, so my critical number is X. Actually the path to that is not. Up until now, we are still debating what our critical numbers is. And I like that you brought it up because this is a very good example of how complex, you know, it is. Running a business really is. Because before this session, I thought my critical numbers was conversion. I thought my critical numbers was number of leads. I thought my critical numbers was, you know,
customer happiness.
Customer happiness. NPS was something I tracked. You know, I track religiously to make sure our NPS is 60% and above because I felt that was important, right? But I think after last month's session, I actually thought my critical number could be something for the warehousing industry, OTIF, you know, on time in full, and that's and just identifying on time in full. Oh, okay, I thought I got it sorted out, but the minute you really think about on time in full in renovation, right? Shit. Now I need to clearly define what is a delay or what is an agreed delay. These delays can happen by contractors. Delays can happen by site condition. Delays can happen because a customer's mother-in-law said something. Delays can happen because they shared the plan with the sister and the sister's boyfriend suddenly come, no, really do like that one. You know what, my contractor say it should be like that. And suddenly, feng shui, right? So OTIF is not as simple in my industry because OTIF, which led me to think, then my next strategy is, if OTIF is really my critical number, what's next in my list? I need to give my team clarity on what is my definition of OTIF, right? I need to list down stuff. I need to start having a framework for OTIF because it is the critical number. So yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. So the path to clarity is because this triggered, and then I start doing this homework and I start dissecting and I start talking to my team about it. I start getting pushed back, and then I come here and then they go and push me back. And that leads to clarity. Without this process, there is no clarity. So that's...
Yeah, hang on. So actually, contextually, that was month 6.
Yeah.
Okay? So we don't jump straight to critical number. And this has to happen as a result of actually having gone through a 6-month strategic planning, right? And arrive at a point where the critical number relates to what you need to do in order to achieve your BHAG, which was developed in month 1 or 2. Go ahead.
Sorry, was your question answered or did I, because I understood your question differently than what they answered. So if they answered, then I don't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate their sharing as well.
Okay, because what I understood you were saying was that, okay, I want to read numbers. How much did this program really contribute? Give me some story that it has increased my revenue by X or something like that. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that answer. So last year, my company grew 3X from the year before. We made a GP of a few million. But at the end of the day, our NP was negative $500,000. And that is because we had a lot of basically unfocused spending because we didn't know our priorities and what not to do and things like that. When we joined this program, through the first like 6-7 months, we trimmed a lot of that unfocused spending, and now we're going to end this year with a 1 million net profit. Even without 3x growth, like we're only going to grow by 50%, but still, we're going to have a 1 million net profit because they told me all of the things that I shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So I think that's the answer that you were looking for, right?
I think it ties together very well because without the clarity, you cannot have it.
Exactly.
Clarity, yeah.
But he wanted to quantify like some result, and that's what he was asking about.
Thank you. I'm still figuring things out.
Yeah. Can I take a minute? I would like to actually bring another angle of this. So, whatever we had, critical numbers and all this, the strategy planning, we all talk about the entire thinking mindset from a founder's perspective. Actually, one of the biggest value, I think, that we didn't mention much yet, is actually we are building our team.
Oh, yes.
If your gross profit is more than 5 mil, or if your net profit is more than half a mil, likelihood you start having a team, right? So you have your team and move on. Should the strategy be only developed by one person? My goal to join TITAN is that next year, because every year I release a vision document to my team, and then they start planning. Therefore, actually, more I. My goal is actually next year onwards they start planning. So I think this is another angle to think of things of the value of this. TITAN would be asking you to bring 2 to 3 person from each company to join the program, and that is very key.
Can be one also lah, if you don't have 2 or 3. I brought one.
Well, it's okay,
more is better. More is better.
More is better. No, your case is different. Your case is you are graduating and creating a spin-off.
Starting another fire, right?
Starting another fire.
Effort brings up a really good point. And what we've really said is that one of the biggest values of being in the TITAN program is to actually take that day out. All right? And taking that day out with your team forces you to do something that you would always put off. You know you need to do it.
That's for sure.
You know you need to do it in your organization, but you never get around to doing it because you're too busy fighting something that's really urgent and important, you think.
Every day is urgent. Every day.
Exactly. Right? And taking that day out with your team really, really helps you become a better business.
Because all of a sudden it's been 7 months in 2026, right? We're now in the 8th month.
Yep.
And without the TITAN program, we have been doing the same thing, but without the vision for what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
Okay, shall we? We don't want to do a hard sell, right?
So, if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll end the panel here. Last chance.
You can talk to us individually.
Yes, talk to us individually. All right. Those of you who sign up, like we said, if you actually have questions for us, you get the opportunity to do a one-on-one with one of us as coaches, and we'll be able to explain to you more about the framework and the experience.
And I encourage you to go visit Makeover Guys. Really amazing place. They have coffee, tea.
Yeah, they have actual cafe.
And I think it's pushing out an economy package, right? That we can all afford.
Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, free fridge.
Wow!